January of 16, so this one's pretty recent.
You feel my,
Do your thing.
I'll tell you, I really pounded the pavement. I wanted her story out so badly. And I was calling up to Chicago because I wanted to try to get a hold of the Post-Tribune, because I guess they had bought it.
Chicago Tribune.
Yeah, Chicago Tribune bought them out. So, because my family worked for the Post-Tribune for my father and my mother, and you know that about that. And so, I mean, I'm calling Chicago. I'm trying to find anybody. I was ready to call the president of the.
Are you a Snedden?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is a
Oh, I can tell you some stories about your mother.
Everywhere I go, and I tell you, I love this. I absolutely love this. 'Cause I go to show-
Should I shut the video off?
No,
he would never.
So anyway, I was calling this person, that person. And I finally got a hold of Lola Jean Brink, who gave me a couple of names, and one of those was your name. Of course, when I got you on the phone, immediately I called you Manis, or I called you Maines, or something like that. And I called him, and he immediately corrects me. I go, "Oh, this is not going to go well," but obviously it did.
Call home your brother.
You know, so I mean, once again, I can't thank you enough for helping me
Mark.
memorialize my mother.
Let's
There
read.
isn't a person in this world I think of her every single day.
Let's read it.
Okay.
I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day when I saw the hearse come rolling for to take my mother away. I told the undertaker, "Undertaker, please drive slow, 'cause that lady that you hauling, oh, I hate to see her go." So I followed close behind her, tried to hold on and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow when he lay her in the grave. That was Ada R. Habershon, 1907. I've always preferred the Allman Brothers' bluesy, heartfelt version of "Will the Circle Be Unbroken." You probably don't hear that hymn too often in the churches these days. Not sung like that anyway. My interview with Mark Snedden took place at his home 2 days before Christmas. 2 days before that, Snedden and his brothers buried their mother. Snedden, 54, is a senior engineer at ArcelorMittal and a Purdue University grad who lives in Crown Point with his wife Deborah, who is the principal of Jane Ball Elementary School in Cedar Lake. Mark's daughter Chelsea sat in on our conversation.
I grew up in a subdivision called Meyer Manor in Cedar Lake and attended Hanover Central High School, Snedden begins. I actually had my mother for a class once. She sent me to the office too. And I was in her class. She treated me like any other student.
Any other childhood memories of Cedar Lake?
Growing up in Meyer Manor, we played a lot of sandlot baseball. I remember hitting the ball into the lake on a cold, windy March day. Me and my buddy hopped into one of the rowboats in an attempt to retrieve the ball. The wind caught us and pulled us completely across the lake. We had ended up in an ice pack about 300 feet from shore. We had no coats and we were freezing our butts off.
If that boat would have tipped while caught up in that ice jam, you and your buddy could have drowned or succumbed to hypothermia. How did you get out of that predicament?
Officer Lynn Carnahan swam through the icy waters and helped us get to shore.
Tell me about your father.
My dad graduated from Hammond High School. After a stint with the Hammond Times, my father took a job as a printer at the Gary Post-Tribune. It was in those old days when they used those linotype machines. He had to learn how to read backwards. Dad was a member of the International Typographical Union. He loved his trade. Dad died in '87.
Your mother.
My mother loved ballroom dancing and Jeopardy. She was a card-carrying member of Mensa, but it was journalism she was really into. It was her major at University of Wisconsin. She grew up in several towns near Oshkosh.
What was her maiden name?
She was born Helen Eck. Mom earned her master's degree at Ball State. She taught high school English, yearbook, and newspaper. I had a photograph of her when she worked at the LaPorte Argus. That job was what brought her to the area from Wisconsin. I should mention that my mom and dad worked for the Hammond Times at the same time. Later, they also worked for the Gary Post-Tribune at the same time.
Sounds like your mother worked more years as a correspondent than she did as a school teacher.
Yes, the newspaper was her life. I remember Mom calling her stories every night around 10 p.m. They had some kind of recording system. She would talk the story through the phone.
Life for your mother after your father's demise.
She eventually married a nice gentleman named Bill Johns. They were together for about 4 years until he passed. That's when she got involved with the Board of Zoning Appeals, Planning Commission, Redevelopment Commission, and Cedar Lake. She had to stay busy. You know, it's funny, she went from one side of the fence to the other.
Explain, please.
She used to cover all kinds of stuff for the newspapers. She was a natural choice. Everybody knew her. She was also part of the ad hoc committee that eventually forced Great Oaks Drive-In Theater to close. It was the only outdoor theater in the area to show pornographic films.
Mark, I'm so old. I remember my parents taking my brother and I to see movies like Robinson Crusoe on Mars and The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance before Great Oaks started showing skin flicks. Off the top of your head, a fond memory or anecdote regarding your mom.
Sure, I'll tell you the story of Helen's tulips and the potbelly pig. Mom loved her tulips. One of the guys down the street, and I won't mention the person's name, decided to buy a potbelly pig and let it run free throughout the neighborhood. You probably know pigs love to root.
And the porcine pet ate Ma's tulip bulbs.
Every single one of them. Mom was madder than a wet hen. She marches down the street, tells the guy, "Your pot-bellied pig ate all my tulip bulbs." The guy kind of laughed at her and more or less blew her off.
I have a feeling that the story doesn't end here.
Nope, Mom takes the guy to small claims court, and wins. The guy not only has to pay for the tulip bulb, but also had to pay for somebody to replant them.
Mark, we didn't have to do this interview today.
Jeff, I would have done the interview on the day of her funeral. It's what it took to have someone memorialize my mother.
Final thoughts?
You know, at her service the day before yesterday, 2 or 3 of her favorite hymns were sung. Chelsea was an important part of her life. There was also the old favorites that everyone would sing, but Mom likes some more obscure ones that most people aren't familiar with.
And Chelsea says, what was the song they sang at her funeral while Grandma Helen was being carried out? It's number 1 in the hymnal. It's been sung more than any other hymn. And I said, how great thou art. And she said, that's it. My brother looked up at me and said, Grandma hated this song. We laughed and cried at the same time. I'd never met Helen Snedden-Johns, but 2 days after her funeral, thanks to her son and granddaughter, I know her now.